Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Watchers live stream for April 4th, 2023. My name is Garrett.
And I'm Adrian.
And this, of course, is our weekly live stream where we talk movie news, movie updates, and all sorts of things going on in the world of Hollywood that we love. And a little bit of a light week this week, but hey, there's some good topics, though. It's not a lot of stories, but good ones.
Definitely, yeah. I felt like there was a lot of impactful news and interesting news this week.
Yeah, 100%. But before we jump into any of our stuff today, we had one of our brand new videos go live today. As a part of our rebrand, we are doing a lot more movie content on the side, and one of our top 10 lists just came out today. Our top 10 most beautiful 2D animated films of all time list. So if you haven't checked it out yet, highly recommend it. Not only because we worked on it, but it's also pretty good. Everyone has given us some very good feedback. So if you like it, let us know.
I mean, you worked super hard on it, and I can definitely, you can see when you watch it. I got to see a bit of sneak peek of it, and it is pretty incredible. So definitely check it out. Garrett worked real hard.
Aw. I don't need all that. All righty.
Okay, don't watch it.
Well, don't go that far the other way. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get into the newsroom and talk about some pretty interesting topics this week. First up, we did, in fact, see that film and TV rights for the fighting game franchise Street Fighter have landed at Legendary. This is kind of some interesting news just because we've seen a suite of very good video game adaptations happen over the last year or 2 years, I would say. This one, I'm not too big a fan of the Street Fighter franchise. I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. I got my decent movie 2 years ago, I think, is when the last one came out.
I'm still waiting for Soul Calibur, but we'll see if we ever get a good version.
That would certainly be an interesting one for sure. That one's pretty crazy.
I'm excited for this. I think there's a little more to go off with the Street Fighter franchise in terms of storytelling and stuff. I think there's just a little bit more, and maybe it's a little more grounded at times. I mean, maybe I'm just speaking from nothing, but it feels like there's potential to have this just be kind of more of a grounded, maybe grittier film. I mean, I feel like Mortal Kombat, it had the dark tones, but it did feel a little campy throughout most of it. So I feel like maybe they can take this one and do something really kind of Christopher Nolan-y with it and make it crazy dark. I think that'd be pretty fun. But yeah, not sure. Well, I guess we'll have to see where it goes.
I don't know. I'd almost rather see it go the opposite way and go the Super Mario Brothers route and just go full animation weirdness with it.
Oh, you think so? Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. It's probably going to be at least 4 or 5 years till we see anything materialize from the rights.
Yeah, if anything. Just because they bought the rights doesn't mean we actually are getting something.
Yeah, maybe they just don't want a movie to come out. Maybe they didn't want it to happen. But speaking of 4 or 5 years, we are seeing kind of a rumor mill kind of start to populate here with rumors of Shrek 5 coming with all original cast. This is going to be pretty interesting. It's from the same studio, I believe, Illumination. So everything kind of identical. Seems like a long time since the last one. I know it was DreamWorks before, but I feel like Illumination worked on it also.
So it is still DreamWorks. So this is kind of maybe a little bit of an error in my note writing here, but the CEO of Illumination is on the partner board for DreamWorks. So DreamWorks is still doing Shrek. It's just that the Illumination CEO is kind of the one that leaked it. Because both animation studios work for Universal. So
Illumination is where we get Minions and Despicable Me and all of that.
And
right?
Super Mario Brothers this week. Yeah.
So I'm interested though, regardless, the fact that they can get all the original cast, that everyone's still alive, is alone a miracle. So I think I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. For those of us who watched The Incredible Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, we did see that at the end there is a tease with them returning to the land of far, far away. So hopefully they take the art style of the Puss in Boots: Last Wish and apply that to the Shrek movie.
Yeah,
I think that would really help
movies. Yeah.
So that should be interesting, though. Very interested to see if that indeed does happen. All the cast members are still around, so
crazy.
Yeah. From animated news of that front to animated news of this front, was confirmed by Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that we are in fact getting a Moana live-action remake coming from Disney, starring both he and Moana's voice actress, Auli Cravalho. This is horrible news.
Really?
That movie is so good. I don't think they should touch it. It hasn't even been 10 years yet.
I agree.
This should not be touched.
No, I understand the concept of new generation is here. You need to reproduce the old content. I can wrap my head around that, which I think is what I think you agree. I do not see the reason to remake a movie that we just watched not that long ago.
And there's two things that I've seen online. Number one is a very kind of common comment, which is that they should just instead do a animated sequel or a series on Disney Plus about that tribe going out and exploring the oceans again. That would be far more interesting than just getting a live action, same exact film that we already got.
Identical. It's going to be literally a shot for shot from what I'm hearing.
And honestly, the fact that The Rock made the announcement, it literally feels like he's grasping, like, oh, Black Adam failed. I need something to get me back in like the limelight, because there's a lot of bad stuff coming out about him in DC. Yes. So, I think he's trying to save his image, and it's not really going to work. So
it really seems like he's on the beach in his announcement, and he's like, "But Moana again," and everyone's like, "Okay."
So we didn't get the crazy sweet because Black Adam didn't do that well. So we're just here on the beach, and Moana's coming.
Exactly. Yeah. But sticking with animation news, something that I am absolutely tickled to report is that the Paddington in Peru movie is starting to film, or at least starting production, I should say, in July, which is great that it is even happening, because the first two are both absolutely incredible films. I recommend them to everyone that I meet. If you haven't seen any of them, shockingly, the second one is better than the first one, but you shouldn't be seen without the first one. So go and do a double feature for those for sure. And I cannot wait for Paddington in Peru.
I love the first two movies. I am worried about this one because I don't know if they'll be able to capture the same magic again. And I think that we could be heading for a little bit of a letdown. So
I think that's what they said when they announced Paddington 2.
Yeah, that's very true. But then it exceeded. And I was going to say Moana 2. Paddington 2 is as close to perfection of a sequel as you can get. Yeah. So I don't know. They got a high bar to cross on this one, but it is still very exciting though. So,
and I love that it is something that's like it's a standalone that kind of has this revered status that I'm hoping we can get this third one and we just have like a holy trinity of films. Like I really hope that there's just like that it stays in good regard and that we all talk about Paddington as those three movies are amazing. That's the hope.
And no one touched them.
Yeah. We don't need a live action of Paddington himself. Everyone else is already live action. We're fine.
I mean, the movie's pretty much live action already. It's just
but not him. Yeah.
Wait, it's not real? What? Speaking of, I don't even have a segue for this. I don't know why I was going with that. So Regal Theaters owner Cineworld, who owns I think a couple of movie theater chains, had declared bankruptcy late last year. However, recently they have outlined steps to get out of bankruptcy. This is I don't know much about the economic side of the movie theater industry. I mean, beyond the fact that if you go to the movie theater, you should buy concessions because that's how they make their money. This is heartening news. This makes me feel better because Regal is all I have around me. And I certainly do not want to see my movie theaters go away. So I'm very happy that they're going to be taking these steps, hopefully, and keeping these theaters open.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to, I didn't read the full article, but when you declare bankruptcy, typically that is just like a thing that happens and then you don't owe any more money. Stuff changes, but like your debt goes away. So I don't know how you once you declare it officially, legally, I don't know. I didn't know there was like a grace period where they're like, oh, but if you want to change, you can get out of it. I thought it was like you declare it, you deal with the consequences, and you move on. So maybe they're meaning like we have steps to stay out of bankruptcy. I don't know how all that legal stuff works.
Yeah, I have no idea, but hey, it's hard. It's good news if they're able to do it. So that's all that matters.
speaking of a company that just evaded bankruptcy with some really bad leaks not too long ago, in good news, the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves film has taken the top box office spot away from John Wick Chapter 4, which I didn't really see this as a surprise to me. John Wick 4 is very, very good, but I also went to see D&D, so I definitely feel like I saw this coming. It's definitely been getting really good buzz, and they've done a great job marketing it. And I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly, I was expecting it to open second, but give it like serious competition to John Wick, just because John Wick's had probably the biggest weekend of 2023 so far, and it actually managed to overtake it, which is huge. It was getting a lot of great, buzz, a lot of good word of mouth. The reviews have all been very good for the most part, so there was nowhere left to go but up for this film. And a lot of outlets are saying that it wasn't that good of an opening, but like a D&D movie getting what I think we'll say later, it's like 38 million in its first weekend, and that's not including the Amazon previews from like 2 weeks ago and other things. Like, it's doing great, and we'll just have to wait to see if it holds on a second weekend.
That's what I don't think is going to happen. I think that the people that wanted to go see this movie have now seen it. And I think that was the big surge. And I would expect to see John Wick maintain or retake first slot next week, just because I think it has more staying power. But that remains to be seen. Can't say one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, we know for sure that Super Mario Brothers is going to kill it this weekend. There's a lot of people saying that Super Mario Brothers might be the highest grossing movie of the year, but we'll have to wait and see when that happens. I can see it retaining second. Maybe getting some competition from Air. I think that everyone who wanted to see John Wick in theaters has already kind of gone to see it. So we'll have to wait and see. I could have to, eat my words come next week. But we'll talk about D&D a little bit later because we both had the chance to go see it this weekend. So very much looking forward to talking about that. But speaking of John Wick, our last piece of news here, Ballerina, which is the first spin-off set in the John Wick universe, is set to be released next summer. Obviously, this stars Ana de Armas as the titular ballerina, as well as Keanu Reeves, Ian McShane, and Lance Reddick making appearances in the film, along with Angelica Houston, who was in John Wick 3, who was the leader of the ballerina kind of club, and also Norman Reedus appearing in the franchise. So very exciting stuff there.
Yeah.
Very excited for this, though. I was a little upset that the after credits sting for John Wick 4 wasn't this, and then we didn't get some sort of tease for it. I'm not going to say what it is because I won't spoil it, but very much excited for this. I love Ana de Armas, and her action John Wicky type scenes in the last James Bond movie really prove that she has the capability of doing it. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
I think what's really going to show how I'll feel about this is the movie that's coming out called Ghosted with her and Chris Evans. I feel like she's definitely playing an action character in that, and I think that's going to be the real tell of, does she do all her own stunts? Like, can she do the John Wick style action?
Yeah,
it's so hands-on and so physical. And I mean, if you watch the behind the scenes of any John Wick movie, everyone's bruised, everyone's injured still. Like, it's still a very violent set. So not to say that she can't handle it, I'm looking forward to seeing her do that. I think it's going to be really, really good, and I think we'll get a tease of it here coming up.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, like, a lot of people were mentioning the stunts thing, like seeing the behind the scenes. There's one part where the clip was shared online. It was an actor in the Japanese Continental, and he was thrown down the escalator and just completely sends it. And all these people are like, can we just get a stunt Oscar already? Can we please get one? And it's like, why haven't we? Like, I know it's
I think if any movies deserve it, it's the John Wick series. I mean, they've definitely there's also, like, I mean, I would say John Wick's like the American version of movies that we've had for a long time, like Raid, that whole series. Like, that style has existed. John Wick has just brought it to America, so maybe they shouldn't necessarily win the Oscar for it, but they're definitely the ones currently doing it at the top of their game.
Yeah, not to mention it's like the spiritual successor of all the Hong Kong action films too, and
they bring in all those actors and stuntmen to work. Like, it's all part of the same family. So I agree. Let's get the stunt Oscar going.
Yeah, that would be great.
And speaking of Ballerina, though we don't have a trailer for that yet, we did get a ton of trailers this past week of some really big films that are coming out.
Before we jump in, though, we do have a comment.
Well, hello.
Matthew Walls, what is up? Hey, we saw you on one of our good friend Nadia's streams over on Horror and More. Welcome.
I remember. Hey, Matthew.
Hope you're having a great day and join us for some movie news.
You caught me off guard, Matthew. I was about to dive into my trailer review. But we did get a bunch of really, really good trailers, especially some for very anticipated movies. Just going down the list before I tell you which one I'm most excited for. We got Blue Beetle, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Beau is Afraid, Extraction 2, Hypnotic, an actual trailer for Barbie, and Asteroid City, the new Wes Anderson film. All of these, I feel like there's not one on here that I hadn't heard of or was not looking forward to seeing some content about. So really, really big week for trailers. My personal favorite, Garrett actually sent it to me. He was the first person to see it, but Asteroid City looks absolutely incredible. It's like everything I love and Wes Anderson. And this, I mean, it just looks right up my alley. I can't wait. Yeah. Beau is Afraid is my runner-up, though. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Asteroid City. It just looks like more Wes Anderson goofy weirdness, and I'm all here for it. Totally looking forward to that. But I would have to say, of everything, I would actually say for me it was a tie between Beau is Afraid and Barbie. I think Barbie looks surprisingly interesting given its material. Also, huge shout out for Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best Western animated films in the last 50 years. So
I think what's tough about that is we just know it's going to be good.
Well, we can hope. Yeah. We hope that it's going to be good.
But like when I see a good trailer for it, it's more like expected. Then I'm like, whoa, that looks so good. I'm like, yep, that looks like it's going to be really good. More factual.
Speaking of trailers, Matthew says, haven't seen the trailer for Asteroid City. Well, it's luckily it's free here on YouTube. And it looks very quirky. If you've never seen a Wes Anderson film before, it's going to come off really weird.
If you haven't seen, Grand Budapest or French Dispatch or Fantastic Mr. Fox or anything like that, he has such a unique style, and every single shot is so deliberate and purposeful. And like, I think in the French Dispatch, it was even down to like the way that all the characters blinked is directed to be like very perfectly timed with the music. And I mean, it's just so deliberate and such a joy to watch any of his films. They're very entertaining.
They're all, I mean, I used to give him a lot of crap because I was like, it's just, he's a one-note guy, but the movies they're so
And then you saw Grand Budapest Hotel and you were like, holy cow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely check it out, Matthew. Any of his existing movies, and definitely watch the trailer for Asteroid City.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah, look, hopefully it's going to be good. I think it's out in June, so we're not too far away. And apparently he has a second movie coming this year, another stop motion animated movie. So
speaking of that, I'm really digging the new era, or maybe the era that we're back in, where we get trailers for movies that are coming out soon. I feel like we went through a few years where it would be like coming 2032, and you're like, oh, okay, I have so long. Now I love that it's like 2 months from now. Yeah, because it's like I'm excited now. I want to see it. I don't want to wait.
It's like, I feel like we're getting those trailers for the movies that you don't know you want to see. It's like you get things for like Indiana Jones and like Marvel movies. You get those months ahead of time so they can start their hype trains. But like Beau is Afraid. I didn't know I needed another trailer until today or whatever. So like,
and then you see it and you're like, wow, yes, I want to see that now, and it's coming out. It's perfect.
Apparently, speaking of Beau is Afraid, the director Ari Aster, who did Midsommar and Hereditary, went to a screening of Midsommar, and they actually said, "Oh, by the way, you're not watching Midsommar. You're watching Beau is Afraid," and it was like they blew the whole audience's minds. And apparently, the movie's around 3 hours long.
Perfect. Yeah, I love it. No hesitation there.
I'm ready for some weirdness.
Yeah.
But that is going to get us into my review corner. Hello. I watched a lot of movies in 1 week, and it's time for me to go ahead and talk about them. Actually, before we do, we got another trailer talk comment from Matthew here. Blue Beetle trailer was, don't know if it'd be that good. I think Blue Beetle's going to have a heart to it, but but visually, it just doesn't look super interesting. It wasn't clear on who the villain is in the trailer either. The suit looks great though. The suit looks straight out of like Injustice 2 and all the animated stuff, and I think the suit looks great. But
I think what I'm excited for about it isn't the visuals or anything like that. I'm excited that we're getting like a moderate budget superhero movie. Like, I feel like that's a return. Like, every superhero movie the last few years has been like hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars total. And this is like, oh, no, let's just get back to like standard superhero movies that are just fun. So I think it's going to be a good time.
I'm really curious, because I think it's coming out after The Flash. And I'm curious to see if it's going to fit into the new DCU or if it's a part of the existing one that's going to be rewritten here in
we'll have to find out
in a little while. So, but diving back into the films that were watched over the last couple of days, 7 days to be exact. Among these, I did watch Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, which I gave an 86 out of 100. Said it was wonderfully voiced, animated, and paced. Isle of Dogs is a really fun time from Wes Anderson that doesn't feel nearly as pretentious as some of his other work. It just kind of feels more hearty, and was a lot of fun. I recommend it. Next up, watch The Wolf House from 2018. Give it a 97 out of 100. Hauntingly beautiful and profoundly affecting, The Wolf House is simply a masterpiece of storytelling in an unorthodox environment. Using history to retell The Three Little Pigs is a brilliant move that will leave its audience speechless. Highly recommend watching The Wolf House if you can find it. Next up, watched Wendell and Wild, a 2022 Netflix exclusive. Gave it a 63 out of 100. Said the film is gorgeous and full of great performances, but it's an overstuffed story, and with a main character that's pretty unlikable throughout the first 2/3 of the movie. Does hold it back from being a surefire hit, in my opinion. So did give it a 63. It is a pretty gorgeous movie, though. Next up, Kubo and the Two Strings, gave it a 94 out of 100. Gorgeous from start to finish. Laika's best film to date, is so much more than people give it credit for, and a stunning example of how stop motion can breathe life into a film. Highly recommend Kubo and the Two Strings, one of my favorite stop motion films ever. Speaking of, it's been a stop motion week for Garrett. Maybe it's because he's researching for an upcoming video. Anomalisa from 2015, given 85 out of 100. I said it was beautiful in its mundanity. Anomalisa is a brilliant exploration of self-actualization that, even though it's a little flawed, does keep you thinking a long time after viewing. It's kind of rare we get an adult-centered, adult-focused film that is stop motion, and it's kind of interesting in its own regard. And then the big one, the movie we had released this week, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, the 2023 wide release film. I gave it an 80 out of 100. I said that as a DM, I could not have been more pleasantly surprised by this fun adventure film for any audience. It accurately nails the feel of playing the game, and while it does have pacing issues, it does mostly succeed at what it's trying to do. So I did give it an 80 out of 100. And if you want to see any of these or any previous reviews, you can go to my Letterboxd right down there below to see as I upload film reactions in real time and what I think of them. So
yeah, I feel like we have a couple comments, and I would love to talk about Dungeons and Dragons now that we've both seen it. Maybe a total spoiler free, but
yeah. Looks like we are expanding on Blue Beetle. If it's a $90 million movie, it'll be profitable. Probably. I think it'll have no problem making at least $100 million in the box office. So, 100%. And then Kubo and the Two Strings is a GOAT tier animated. Yes, it is. And a lot of people don't remember it. We actually, for my birthday, when we went to the Academy Award Museum, they had the one of the village buildings, like the full-size one on display, which was really cool to see, as well as
they had a lot of
all the Kubo
facial
faces.
expressions. Yeah, the masks and everything.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. I did want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons just a little bit because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Cass, my girlfriend, gave it a 10 out of 10. I don't remember if I even gave it a score, but I just thought it was really, really good. I loved all the little nuances about D&D. You could tell the writers were very passionate about it and paid attention to a lot of detail. Specifically, a moment I liked is there's a scene where one of the characters is walking in a very straight line, and they comment on it like, is he going to move? Because in D&D, you just drag your little figure in straight lines, like where you want to go. Because no one ever, very rarely do people go like, okay, I'll do 50 feet this way, then 10 feet this way. Like it's mostly like, okay, I launch in that direction. And to me, him walking and then going over the obstacle was just like super fun. But yeah, I really, really liked it. We could talk about it, but my one complaint is I really felt like the actors did not care for the most part about D&D. Like they definitely gave me the impression, at least a few of them, the main ones, Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, and Hugh Grant gave me the impression that they were just there to act.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get that at all, actually. I thought they were... It felt like one of those rare productions where they were having so much fun making it that it kind of, I don't know, it made me have more fun watching it. I guess maybe that's just the way I interpreted it. I don't know.
I mean, I would say I probably also am skewed by like what the press junkets that they've done. I guess maybe they've just seen, like, I know Hugh Grant has expressed, they said like, oh, have you ever played? And he said no. And they were like, would you ever be interested in playing? And he's like, absolutely not. And you're like, oh, all right. And then they offered the red carpet. They had a big D20 that they were offering everyone to like roll all the actors. And Chris Pine was like, listen. The guy's like, would you like to roll the D20? And Chris Pine was like, no. And then and then just walked away. And it was like, okay. Yeah, it was just not the best, I guess. I did get the I was looking for it, but it's off screen. But I did get the D20 popcorn bowl.
Oh, you got
AMC.
one. Again, we only have Regal here.
I didn't go to AMC. I went to whatever Cinemark, but my friends were out driving and we were on the phone. And they asked me if I could come over, and I was like, "I'll come over if you go to an AMC theater and buy me this bucket, and then I'll Venmo you." And they did. So now
if they still have them available, I would totally do the same.
Yeah.
Speaking of D&D, we got Matthew coming here saying, "I played D&D for about 7 months in total last year for the first time. Need to see the movie. It is such a fun game.
It is
such a fun movie.
Very fun.
Honestly, one of the hobbies that has truly changed my life, and I would not have met Adrian here if I didn't do D&D. So." That's yeah. And group played Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Interesting.
Some pirate stuff, huh?
That was one of the one I was looking into for my current group. So it's good to hear that someone else is actually playing it because it looks very interesting.
I just remember that they had trouble with the ship-to-ship combat. Like it wasn't as flushed out as some other stuff.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like homebrew stuff out there that can make it better. I think there's like, like rule changes on DM's Guild and stuff that can make it a little more interesting.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, but yeah, D&D movie, a lot of fun. Hope we give it all the word of mouth we possibly can. It is such a fun movie. Also, I think I told you that the Auntie Donna actors play the corpses in the movie.
Yeah, which is a very fun scene. Very, very D&D-esque. It was a good time.
Yeah. I went and saw the movie with my mom actually, and she likes movies that are like adventure movies like that because this feels like Guardians of the Galaxy meets Princess Bride is probably the best way to put it.
Sure.
And that was one of the sequences where she was like probably laughing the most was because it's so ridiculous.
I also heard like a crazy, I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's true, but they filmed at Hogwarts for like the castle at the end is like almost all on site at the Hogwarts castle.
Interesting.
Like the interior, there's a lot of people saying, I recognize this room. I recognize this.
Oh, that's kind of embarrassing. People watching the movie. Like, that's where I go to see Professor Squirrel. I don't know.
Squirrel. So close. You had to drop the S.
I don't know. He's dead. I was coming up with his stepbrother. I don't know.
Oh. But speaking of films that we have seen and games that we have played and things that are out, there is a lot of stuff coming out this week, including tonight, if it is playing near you. First up is Super Mario Bros., the official movie. Comes out officially tomorrow, but I'm sure there are midnight premieres tonight at any theater near you. And in case you're not familiar with our friend in the little red hat or his friend Luigi, we do have a plumber named Mario travels through an underground labyrinth with his brother Luigi, trying to save a captured princess. Feature film adaptation of the popular video game. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Anya Taylor-Joy for her red carpet outfit. She was literally in a Mario Kart Princess Peach outfit made by Gucci, I want to say. And it was absolutely incredible. It was just an awesome time. We also have Air, the biography coming out on Friday to wide release. You've probably seen trailers for this. Follows the history of shoe salesman Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in its pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. This one definitely seems super interesting. I'm really excited for it. I don't know if I'll catch it in theaters. It doesn't, like, I'm not a super big sneakerhead or even like a big basketball fan, but it does seem really good. It gives me a lot of Ford v Ferrari vibes kind of thing. Then we're getting Paint this Friday to wide release, the comedy drama. In Paint, Owen Wilson portrays Carl Nargle, Vermont's #1 public television painter, who is convinced he has it all: a signature perm, custom van, and fans hanging on his every stroke, until a younger, better artist steals everything and everyone Carl loves. This one does seem really funny. It seems like they're going to nail that kind of in-between drama comedy vibe. And the cinematography looks really fun as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Then more in limited news, we have How to Blow Up a Pipeline coming out on Friday, the thriller Western drama. A crew of environmental activists plot a daring plan to disrupt an oil pipeline. Seems very current, or at least recent news. So I think it's going to be really interesting. I had heard nothing about it, so I don't know if I'll catch it in theaters, especially if it's not showing near me. But I'll definitely probably watch it when it comes out on streaming. Then we also have One Day as a Lion coming out on Friday, a crime thriller movie. The story of Jackie Powers, a nice guy and lousy hitman who's sent to take out a crafty debtor, but only pisses him off. This crime comedy is a witty homage to Tarantino and the Coen brothers. The fact that they even throw in Coen brothers and Tarantino, even if it's a tribute or homage, I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I hope I can catch this one at a theater near me. I think it's going to be good. Then we also have One True Loves, plural, coming out Friday to limited release, the comedy drama romance. A woman is unexpectedly forced to choose between the husband she has long thought dead and the fiance who has finally brought her back to life. And this has Simu Liu in it, and I don't know how this movie exists, but I assume it's going to be either good or they filmed it before he got so famous. It definitely looks like a CB movie. So maybe he's just doing a passion project for a friend or something, but I'm sure he's going to add a ton to the movie and make it very, very good, as well as everyone else. And last but not least, also in limited release, we have Play Dead, a horror suspense film that I had no clue, but I'm very interested in. Criminology student Chloe fakes her death and uncovers the local coroner is using the morgue as a front for a sick and twisted business. During a terrifying game of cat and mouse, she learns more about the dead than she bargained for. Seems super campy, super silly, and really, really enjoyable. I'm definitely going to try to check this. I'm not sure why it's limited release. I haven't looked into like production houses or anything like that, but seems unfortunate.
Yeah, should be a pretty good weekend. I'm definitely looking forward to catching Super Mario Brothers when I can this week. And then definitely looking forward to Air, which is apparently one of the best sports movies in quite some time, in the same vein as Moneyball. Yeah. So, and then I've been seeing some early things come in for Paint that are not very favorable. But, I mean, hey, everyone can have their own opinion. So that's why that's what we always say. Go watch it for yourself. If it looks interesting, go watch it. Yeah. But yeah, looks like it'll be a pretty good weekend. So definitely pretty excited for that. Speaking of weekends, let's talk about last weekend.
We do have one more comment that joined between sections.
It's true. Yes, our ship combat evolved a kraken-like creature made the deal with cannibalistic sprites. Yeah, that sounds like Salt Marsh.
Also, this sounds like the most D&D sentence you could possibly say.
Cannibalistic sprites. That is interesting.
That sounds like a great time.
I'll have to reread Ghosts of Salt Marsh. Because I don't remember that at all. But yeah, Ghosts of Salt Marsh is pretty great. I really want to do something like ocean based for a
totally. No, I looked at Salt Marsh when I was thinking of the campaign I was going to run. I just heard kind of I've heard it's a very good like first dabble, but I just was scared by how much homebrew I would have to do to like all the people were saying like in order to make it playable you got to do this and this and this. That was intimidating for my first campaign, but I definitely am interested in it.
Yeah. Speaking of D&D and last weekend, let's go ahead and talk about the box office figures from the last weekend. D&D Honor Among Thieves took the top spot at $37 million domestically, followed up by John Wick Chapter 4 coming in second with $28 million. And then we had pretty much a three-way tie coming in for 3, 4, and 5. We had His Only Son with $5.5 million. Surprising that a movie like
amazing
that on here. Scream 6 got with 5.2. Glad to see Scream 6 still on the charts. And Creed 3 dropped from third back to fifth with $5 million this weekend. A pretty surprising one, just in the fact, again, that D&D did take first, but more so that one of those Fathom event type movie, His Only Son, made it onto the list.
Amazing. So, yeah, I think we talked about it, that like we wouldn't necessarily go see it, but there's definitely a market for it. And clearly there's a market for it. People came out in droves, apparently.
Well, droves, $5 million worth, but I mean,
that's more than people that come to see me on the weekend. So
that's
I don't know
true.
what to tell you.
I mean, I'd pay $30 million to come see you on the weekend. I'm just, I will.
Okay.
I don't have 30 million, but
Well then.
then it's worthless. But that's gonna be it for I'm actually very excited to see this next weekend because we got some big movies coming out. So we'll have to wait and see next Tuesday. But that's going to bring us to what we're watching currently. Anything you're watching right now, Adrian?
Yeah, I did quite a bit of just kind of, I guess, binge watching and stuff. I watched John Wick 4, like I said. We didn't really talk about it in here, but I did get a chance to go see that. We completely binge watched The Woman Across the Street from The Woman in the Window on Hulu, I believe. That was, I wouldn't say it was like really, really good. It was definitely interesting. It was super short. The episodes were like 30 minutes long, but it was definitely an interesting watch. I'm currently watching Secret City on Netflix. That's like a crime political thriller that I'm really enjoying. On YouTube, I watched the Yellow Deli Cult, which was a 16 episode, really silly, but oddly like provoking documentary that these two surfer bros did. And they invaded the Yellow Deli Cult, which is like a real cult that funds the Yellow Deli. And they actually get like behind the scenes footage and live there for months and like reveal a bunch of stuff about, like, I don't want to say any trigger words, but like just abuse in general and like things that are going on and health and children and all this stuff. And they end up taking over one of the restaurants and it definitely gets to like a legal situation. So very, very, very fun. And then I also showed Cassidy Arrival for the first time. She had not seen it. So it was good to rewatch it too. I feel like I've always noticed something new when I watch that movie.
Yeah, Arrival is a fantastic sci-fi film. Coming up on one of our top 10 lists. So, because we'll do sci-fi movies. But as far as me, I mean, it's weird. I'm still technically on board for Mandalorian season 3 right now, but I'm like 1 foot off and 1 foot on. The season so far has been like bad episode, then good episode, then bad episode, then good episode. And it's like, I don't know whether or not I want to jump off yet. And, they finally, after 5 episodes in an 8-episode season, just talked about what they're going to be doing for the remainder of the season. And it's like, why couldn't you have done this in episode 2?
This, I'll just touch on it because you brought it up. But I felt for a long time that all of the Marvel and Disney shows should just be movies. Like, I just think it'd be such a better use of everyone's time. And someone has taken the Obi-Wan Kenobi show and they worked on the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and they've reshot footage, they've remastered it, cut it together to a 2.5 to 2 hours and 40-minute movie that's coming out in June or in May for Star Wars Day. And there's a full trailer for it. They used green screen actors. He fully redid it, and it's called Kenobi: A Star Wars Story. And a fan cut underneath that. But it is it's like taking out all the filler and making, like, an example, they make the Inquisitor that has like the alien face. They make it more elongated. The Grand
Inquisitor, yeah.
Yeah, to make it look more like it is in Rebels. They make the Sith the structure that they fly to, like the temple, they make that look more like what it looked like in other films and in the comics. So just restructuring the whole thing, and the person knows what they're doing because they worked on Star Wars as an effects artist. So it looks really good.
I saw the trailer and I wasn't that impressed. I felt like they were really overstuffing scenes with other stuff. Also, the Grand Inquisitor, it shouldn't be you're mirroring the way of someone looks off of the animated show. It should be the other way around. The animated show can be styled. The live action is what the actual character looks like.
I do want to be clear. There are 2 movies. So someone just cut the show down into a film. And then this person remade it. So I'm not sure if you watched the remake.
I did watch the trailer.
Oh, okay.
The trailer came out recently. Yeah. There's like the part where like Vader's in his throne room and it shows like the original and it's kind of empty. And then in this one, it's like full of like hologram maps and stuff. And
I think they're just populating it. But I loved in the trailer, they show that they've re-edited the final battle between Darth Vader and Kenobi to have like the blue lava in the background to represent their previous fight. And kind of like mirror it and parody it. So I don't know. I think it looks really good, and I'm really excited to see what comes of it.
I don't know how they're going to release it because Disney won't let that happen, probably. But you never know.
I think it's just I think it's like a fan. It's just a fan edit. You just
Yeah, but it's using all copyrighted footage, so I don't know how that's going to work.
there must be an edit in every frame that makes it like custom,
right? Or like reversed or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we tried to in a video back last year. But besides Mandalorian, which again I'm off and on about, we'll see how this last 3 episodes are. I did watch on YouTube, arguably not on live TV, but the April 1st Adult Swim broadcast was really funny. They took episodes of some of their most popular shows and put it into an AI art generator and had the AI like mess with it and like recreate dialogue and stuff. It was really, really weird and interesting.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't hear about that.
But they kind of, I mean, it wasn't like an April Fool's prank because they kind of said that it was coming, but it was a cool thing. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I just watch a lot of movies, so there's not a lot of other shows or anything. Just live streams and Twitch and a lot of YouTube. But
sure.
But anyhow, that's going to be it for this live stream. Wow, our audience really jumped up. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, or things that they want to levy at me for being weird, I don't know. Go ahead and comment them in the right, and we'll hang out and chat a little bit after we're done here. But this is kind of the end of the recording part of this entire live stream. So make sure you hang around. Adrian, if there's anyone out there, which there's actually an audience now, where can they go to follow us?
Yeah, you can go to Real Watchers on Instagram. That's where we're definitely most active. We post whenever we're going to go live. We interact with chat, leave comments, all that stuff. You can get in touch with us there. We also have links to our YouTube channel and our Twitch, I believe. And then we also have our personal accounts if that's something you're interested in doing, if you want to follow us there. But yeah, feel free to check us out. We're Real Watchers on Instagram.
That is absolutely correct. And before we go, again, just to reiterate, we did have a brand new video come out today on the channel, our top 10 most beautiful 2D animated films of all time. The part 2 of that kind of video series on 3D animation will be coming out in 2 weeks. So make sure you keep a lookout here on the channel and subscribe to let know when that goes live. And then the third part, which will be on stop motion animation, will be coming soon after that. So just so you guys know. Thank you so much for watching this live stream, and keep your eyes on the screen. Alrighty, we got a comment in the chat. Matthew says, I want to like the new Star Wars stuff. Just for some reason, none of what Disney's put out interests me. That's totally fair. That's probably the most, like, I don't know, PG argument I've heard about Disney's content. I don't know. I feel like some of it's been really good.
I mean, you know, I'm in Matthew's boat. I haven't watched anything since Mandalorian season 2. I watched like 2 episodes of Kenobi, fell off of it. I think I just agree. Like, I just don't think it's quality content.
I mean, I'm interested though if you've seen Andor, Matthew, because I think Andor was probably the best thing next to Rogue One that Disney's done for Star Wars. But would definitely be worth it if you haven't watched that yet. Been begging for something like Shadows of the Empire from N64. I mean, we can all hope. The problem is that's all Legends stuff, and the Legends stuff was never canon, so they had to, make up a new canon. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, I mean, they could tell a version of that story for sure. Yeah, I think the Dark Troopers were from Shadows of the Empire, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they cherry picked what they wanted to kind of use and not use.
Yeah, and believe me, not all the Legend stuff is good. But Shadows of the Empire, I haven't actually played. I've seen some gameplay of it though. And
I will say, in terms of what we are getting, is Star Wars Survivor, right? Is that what it's coming out? The new Star Wars game?
Oh, the Jedi games.
Jedi. Oh my gosh.
Jedi Survivor, yeah.
Jedi Survivor, yeah. And just the first one, I forget. Oh my gosh, wow. I don't even remember what these were called, but I did play the first one. And it was really entertaining. Very, very detailed, very fleshed out. Felt really, really fun. And the combat was really excellent. So I'm looking forward to Survivor. I think it could be really good. And people are saying it's done in Unreal Engine 5, and it just apparently looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything does in Unreal Engine 5, let's be real. Yeah, Fallen Order was fantastic.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't played it. Took the best of kind of Uncharted adventure and the best of Dark Souls-like combat and meshed it together in a really interesting way. without the difficulty of Dark Souls, unless you obviously play it on a higher difficulty. but yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I do like a lot of but here, I think this is the thing. I like what Disney puts out. I don't love it, and I think that's the kind of thing that, for me, is kind of starting to grate on it. To be fair, I've been liking the franchise for a long time and not loving it, so I don't think it's just Disney's fault.
Yeah, I think I'm in my why phase. Like, I feel like if it's not keeping my interest every episode, like, why am I watching every episode? Like, they're not making me invested in the story. If there's 3 bad episodes in a row, like, why would I finish the season? Like, just because for nostalgia's sake, I don't feel like that's a good enough reason. Like, that doesn't earn my time, because I'll just go watch the nostalgia. I can go watch those movies. Like, I don't need 8 episodes of nostalgia being shoved down with no plot. Like, that's not what I'm watching for. So it's tough.
And what I'm starting to figure out too is, I enjoyed Boba Fett as I was watching it, and I think once I watched everything, I was able to kind of reflect on it and be like, you know what, I feel like that I could have waited till it was all out and then just fast forwarded the stuff I didn't care about. Because there is really good stuff in the show. The show itself isn't that good.
It could have been a 2-hour movie. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get. I don't get it. I don't get why there's a benefit to having someone watch 6 to 8 episodes versus a good movie that comes out.
Yeah, I think what's really happening is you're seeing the sentiment swing from movies to limited series and shows, which I really hate that.
Yeah.
But I would rather see more movies as well. And actually, there's a rumor to be believed. I think we mentioned this before. Disney has stated if Lucasfilm doesn't put out a Star Wars movie by 2025 Christmas time, then the head of Lucasfilm will be fired.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Which George Lucas picked her personally.
Yeah, and to be fair, Kathleen Kennedy is a very good producer. She's made some of the best films of all time. Schindler's List is one of them. She's worked with Steven Spielberg on pretty much everything. She's a very good producer. But as the head of a creative company, I don't think it's necessarily working out. And that's coming from someone who really likes her work. So.
Yeah, and he picked her, though, hoping that she would carry forth the vision. And there's documentaries and YouTube essays about how that didn't happen at all. That she completely took a lot of the initial ideas and premise and just 180'd them. So it's been a tough time, and I'm interested to see what they churn out with that deadline.
Yeah. Matthew says Shadow of the Empire is a game, but it is it's a game for the 64, but also has a comic book and a full novel. I didn't know there was a full novel. I'll have to check that out. I have some Kindle credits that I need to use. So just gave me something to read, Matthew. I appreciate that. I would also recommend. There's another Star Wars book that's really good. Death Troopers is really good, which is a Legends book now, but it's Han and Chewie come across a derelict Star Destroyer, and there was a zombie virus that took place inside, and they have to work with some of the surviving Imperials to get out alive. It's kind of an interesting story. They'll never do it as a short film or anything, but it would be really cool. But I'm interested to see what happens for Star Wars. I've been kind of vocal about it in my friend groups around me recently. I've kind of fallen out of favor with the franchise. Not because of oversaturation, or I don't think they're doing anything well. I think it's more so the biggest thing for me has been the fans. I just really haven't liked talking anything Star Wars with people, because it's so vitriolic, everything you talk about, and it's just so annoying that people take it. I understand taking something seriously, but taking it like that, it's just, I don't know, that kind of bugs me.
No, totally.
So, and to be fair, the shows haven't been that bad recently. Matthew, I don't think it's bad content, but it's how they're deciding what characters get stories is something I think needs more vetting. That's actually, I think that's a good take. Definitely, I think making Mandalorian, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, the main character of his own show, is a new character. I think that was smart, and I think that gives you a whole brand new look into the universe. But then, giving Boba Fett his own series, it's something fans wanted, but did we really need it? I think it was the kind of big question. I don't think anyone was arguing that Obi-Wan was something that everyone wanted, and then after it came out, people were kind of like, maybe if it was a little bit better. Ahsoka getting her own series. I mean, I'm excited for what the series is going to do, but I don't really care that much about her character. I'm more excited about Skeleton Crew because I think Skeleton Crew has, at least since it's all original characters, and it's got the Daniels directing an episode, which that already has me on board. I think their the original character stuff has been great. Andor was the best thing that Disney's put out since Rogue One. The Mandalorian has been, at least the first 2 seasons were very enjoyable. Season 3 is tending to be a little bit more wavy. And then what was the other one? Oh my gosh! And then Skeleton Crew looks like it should be good, but everything they're revisiting, I don't know. I don't know if Dave Filoni is, the in God we trust kind of guy anymore. I don't know.
No, agreed.
But anyhow, well, if you have any more comments, make sure you get them in before we end up having to leave for the night. But Adrian, so D&D movie. We've all said it was good. The one thing that a lot of people have been saying is that they can't wait for some sort of a sequel, and I don't think it needs one. Do you?
Man, that's tough. I definitely. Yeah, I don't think it needs one, but I would definitely go see one. I feel like the fact that they called this not like one, that there was a title, Honor Among Thieves, I feel like that leaves us open to Dungeons and Dragons, the Hateful Eight, or what, like they could just make any like subcategory and make an entirely unrelated movie, which I hope they don't do like in-universe stuff. I would love it if every movie was a standalone campaign that like you didn't have to watch the others to know. There was no, I don't want them to reference each other at all. I just want a completely new cast, new storyline, new everything, and have a new movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they should make one. I think they should just leave it. They did one good movie. Maybe look at it again. I know Joe Manganiello was just tasked to create a Dragonlance TV series, which is based on
the
D&D.
New book,
so hopefully we got that. Matthew, I want an answer to what happened to Rev from Republic Commando. That would be a good anime series. You're talking about Republic Commando, the game?
Yes.
And it wasn't it Sev, or was it Rev?
I don't know off the top of my head. I played that so long ago.
I thought Sev was the one that was like, everyone jokes is like the closest Star Wars got to Warhammer because he's so grimdark. But by the way, super excited for that still. We don't get to talk about it because it's a TV show, but man, I'm so looking forward to Amazon's Warhammer stuff. Can't wait to dig into that with my teeth. I don't know what that means. Anyhow, but thank you everyone for joining us. It has been almost an hour. Unfortunately, we have other duties to attend to other than talking movies. So thank you so much. Yeah, I got it queued up, ready to go. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Matthew, for all the comments. We love seeing it. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out. We're trying to grow this audience. We love doing what we do. So make sure you join us for more fun times. And we will see you all later. Have a great rest of the week.